From Omni Search Labs in Rhode Island, you're listening to Omni Presents. I'm Chris.
And I'm Cheryl. We're your AI guides from the Omni Search Labs virtual digital marketing team.
Join us as we unravel the latest from the OSL blog.
And walk you through the latest news and information on how to optimize your business for AI and search engines.
So, Cheryl, imagine walking up to a total stranger on the street.
Okay.
And you just hand them your corporate credit card and say, buy whatever you think I need to look successful.
I mean, you would literally never do that in real life.
Exactly. But that is essentially what thousands of local business owners do every single day.
Yeah, when they log into their ad dashboard and just, click that one very tempting apply all button.
Right. So today we are taking a deep dive into the really risky and honestly often misleading world of Google Ads auto-apply recommendations.
It's a minefield, really.
It is. And to give you the full picture, we are pulling from Google's own platform documentation. But more importantly, we are looking at internal case studies from our team at Omni Search Labs.
Which is huge because we audit hundreds of accounts across Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts.
We do. And that gives us the hard data on what these automated suggestions actually do to a localized SEO and paid search budget.
And just setting the stakes for you as a business owner, especially if you are trying to manage your own campaigns, clicking that button is heavily framed by the platform as this magic shortcut to optimization.
Yeah, they make it look so easy.
Right. But our data shows it is usually a direct shortcut to just draining a very limited ad budget.
And the trap starts the very moment you log in, honestly. You're hit with the optimization score.
Oh, that big number.
Yes, that massive, colorful percentage sitting right at the top of the screen. Let's say it reads 72%.
That number carries so much psychological weight. I mean, think about it. If you run a local landscaping company in Cranston or, an HVAC service in Fall River, you log in, you see 70%, and your stomach just drops.
You feel like you're failing a test.
Exactly. It is this intense gamification designed to make you feel inadequate unless you have an A+. The dashboard practically begs you to accept their recommendations just to make that scary yellow bar turn into a reassuring green one.
It's absolutely gamified. But we really need to redefine what that score actually represents.
Okay, yeah, let's break that down.
Because that percentage, it's a compliance gauge.
Right.
It is not a performance gauge. It has absolutely zero correlation to how many SEO leads you generate or how profitable those leads actually are.
Wow.
Yeah, it solely measures how closely your account aligns with Google's preferred automated settings.
But wait, I mean, a multi-billion-dollar platform wouldn't just invent a completely empty vanity metric, right? If they are pushing these specific settings, isn't there an underlying assumption that Google's preferred settings are genuinely better for the advertiser?
Better for Google's ecosystem, undoubtedly. Yeah. But better for a localized micro-budget? Rarely. Those preferred settings are inherently designed to increase your ad spend, expand your reach across broad networks, and really push you into using their black box automated systems.
So it's about their bottom line, basically.
Pretty much. Think of it like taking your vehicle to a car dealership for an oil change.
Okay.
And the service center grades you on a scale of 0 to 100, but it's based entirely on how many premium add-ons you purchase.
Oh, right. So you walk out with a 100% score, but your car doesn't actually drive any better. You just bought, the premium floor mats, the expensive undercoating, and the gold-plated wiper blades.
Exactly. Earning a 100% optimization score usually means you just bought all of the platform's extras.
Yeah.
It completely ignores whether your specific Rhode Island business actually needed those extras to get a new customer to pick up the phone.
So if we are throwing out that big percentage score as our North Star, what replaces it? How are you actually supposed to know if your account is healthy enough to automate?
You have to look at account maturity. Automation is not a right user. It is something an account has to earn.
Earn through data, you mean?
Right, through data accumulation. At Omni Search Labs, we use a 4-stage framework to evaluate an account before we ever even consider turning on machine learning recommendations.
I have to say, I'm always a bit skeptical of rigid frameworks. A local business is highly dynamic. Are you saying an account is just bad or unoptimized until it hits some arbitrary timeline?
Not bad, just unproven.
Okay.
The timeline reflects data density. So we break it down into 4 distinct phases. Stage 0 is the new phase, covering the first 0 to 90 days.
Got it.
Stage 1 is early, from 90 to 180 days. Stage 2 is growing, from 180 to 365 days. And Stage 3 is mature, which is basically anything over 12 months.
Right.
And a setting that works brilliantly for a massive Stage 3 e-commerce brand will completely vaporize the budget of a Stage 0 local service business.
Let's put a real local face on this then. Say we are talking about a specialized engineering firm down in Warwick.
Perfect example.
They just launched a brand new campaign, so they are firmly in Stage 0. They have a very finite budget, maybe $1,000 a month to spend on clicks.
Yeah, which is very common.
In those first 90 days, they need to fiercely protect every single dollar of that $1,000.
A $1,000 budget is very realistic for a micro SMB. And in Stage 0, you must strictly control your variables. You're trying to find the baseline of what actually works in your local market.
Right, you're just learning.
Exactly. Handing the keys over to machine learning on day one when the system has zero historical data on what a qualified engineering lead actually looks like in Warwick is financial suicide. Machine learning requires learning.
Let me challenge that timeline, though. What if that Warwick firm gets lucky and they get, say, 20 great leads in the first month?
Okay.
Why do they have to wait a full year to reach Stage 3 before trusting the algorithm? Doesn't the AI process signals way faster than a human ever could?
The AI processes signals faster, sure, but it does not understand business context.
Ah,
Reaching Stage 3 or hitting a 12-month mark doesn't mean Google suddenly becomes perfectly trustworthy and you can just turn all the automation on.
it just means you have more info.
Right. It means the account finally have enough evidence, historical click data, and verified conversion data for a human manager to make an informed, strategic decision about what pieces are actually safe to automate. Data doesn't guarantee better automated decisions. It just gives the human operator a much better shot at picking the right automated tools.
So protecting your budget from bad decisions means we really need to look closely at the specific toggles inside that recommendations tab,
Yes, we do.
because there are dozens of them. Which ones are actually safe for these early stage accounts and which ones are just straight up traps?
Well, the list of always-on recommendations is incredibly short.
I bet.
The most important one is upgrading your conversion tracking to data-driven attribution, or DDA.
I've seen that acronym thrown around, but why does DDA make the safe list? I mean, if we are trying to control everything tightly in Stage 0, why let the platform change how it counts our leads?
Because it gives you a much more accurate map of the customer's journey.
How so?
Historically, platforms used last-click attribution. So whichever ad the customer clicked right before calling you got 100% of the credit.
Which is flawed, obviously.
Very. In the real world, a property manager might search for an engineering firm on Tuesday, click an ad, think about it, search again on Thursday, click a different ad, and then finally submit a form.
Right, it's a process.
Data-driven attribution gives partial credit across all the ad interactions that help produce that final conversion. Setting up that tracking infrastructure accurately from day one is essential.
Getting a clearer picture of reality is always a safe bet. But now let's talk about the dangerous toggles, the ones that need to stay permanently off for a local SMB.
The absolute most dangerous toggle for a small budget is remove conflicting negative keywords. Never let the system auto-apply this.
You know, on the surface, that recommendation sounds helpful. It sounds like Google is warning you about a technical error, like you accidentally blocked your own ads from showing.
And sometimes it is an honest mistake by the user. But far more often, those negative keywords are highly deliberate filters.
Right, to block bad traffic.
Exactly. You put them there to block junk. If you're a high-end commercial architect in Providence, you might have the words cheap, residential, or DIY set as negative keywords.
Because you do not want your ad showing to someone looking for a $50 backyard shed blueprint.
Exactly. But Google's algorithmic bias is simple. If they remove that conflict, your ad shows more frequently. More impressions lead to more clicks, which means you spend more money.
And waste it on bad leads.
Allowing an algorithm to auto-remove negative keywords completely unravels careful human strategy.
Wow. Another toggle that constantly pops up is display expansion, or expand to search partners. I know business owners who turn this on because they think, well, I want my brand everywhere. The more eyeballs, the better.
For a local lead generation campaign, that should remain firmly off.
Yeah.
When you expand into the display network, your text ads start showing up on random mobile games, news websites, and sidebars.
It's just noise.
It severely dilutes the high-intent local search traffic. Look, if a local business owner goes to Google and actively types commercial SEO services Rhode Island, that is incredibly high intent.
Absolutely.
Showing a banner ad to that same person while they are casually reading a recipe blog on a Sunday morning is low intent. It spreads a $1,000 budget far too thin.
Let's push into the keywords themselves because the dashboard loves to suggest removing redundant keywords or adding broad match keywords.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to play devil's advocate here because managing massive keyword lists is exhausting. If Google is offering to clean up a messy account or find new search terms automatically, why shouldn't I let the AIO tools do that heavy lifting?
Because the AI's definition of redundant and a business owner's definition are vastly different.
How do you mean?
To Google's system, two keywords might look technically similar based on their dictionary definitions, but to you, they might represent entirely different levels of buyer intent and profitability.
That makes sense.
And as for adding broad match keywords, that is the absolute fastest way to lose total control of your budget.
Because broad match gives the system permission to guess what the searcher actually meant, right? Instead of requiring the exact phrase.
Correct. It allows the algorithm to match your ad to searches that are only loosely related. Let me give you a visual.
Okay.
Allowing the system to use broad match when you only want tight, local, specific search intent is like handing out your business flyers at a random, crowded shopping mall.
Right.
You are definitely reaching a lot of people, but 99% of them are there to buy shoes or eat at the food court. They aren't looking for what you sell.
Meanwhile, you should be standing directly outside a specialized home hardware store, only handing flyers to people walking out with building supplies.
A perfect expansion of the analogy, yes.
Hmm.
Broad match requires intense, daily human supervision to weed out all the bad, irrelevant searches it brings in.
And most small businesses simply do not have the time to sit there every morning playing whack-a-mole with bad search terms. But protecting your budget from bad keyword matches is only half the battle, isn't it? Even if every single searcher has perfect intent, you can still drain your budget by overpaying for the click itself.
Oh, easily.
How do we control what we pay at the auction level? This brings us to bidding strategies.
Bidding dictates your entire financial reality on the platform, and we have a very specific 90-day bidding playbook for micro and small businesses.
Let's hear it.
If you're in stage 0 or stage 1, your gold standard is maximize clicks with a max CPC cap.
Maximize clicks feels kind of counterintuitive. I mean, if my ultimate goal is generating phone calls and form fills, shouldn't I just use Google's maximize conversion strategy?
It's tempting.
The dashboard constantly tells me to upgrade to conversion-based bidding or target CPA, which is cost per acquisition. Why take the detour with clicks?
It all comes back to the cold, hard data requirement. To use a conversion-based bidding strategy effectively, the AI algorithms require a minimum of 30 to 50 conversions per month to actually learn what a good prospect looks like.
Wait, 30 to 50 a month? Let's go back to our Warwick engineering firm. They do high-ticket consulting. They might only need 4 or 5 solid leads a month to have a phenomenal quarter.
Exactly. The sales cycle for high-ticket services is long. A lead might take 45 days to close.
Right.
If that account is only getting 5 form fills a month, the machine learning model is completely starved of data. It does not have enough data points to recognize a pattern of who converts and who doesn't.
That's a huge problem.
It is. When the AI is starved of data, it tries to fill in the gaps with guesses. Letting an algorithm guess with your money is an incredibly expensive experiment.
It's essentially gambling because the machine is flying blind.
That's a great way to put it. If you jump to maximize conversions before your account has earned that 30 to 50 conversion threshold, the system will just start bidding wildly.
Because it's trying to figure it out.
Right. It is desperate to find a conversion signal that simply isn't there in the volume it needs.
Yeah.
You have to wait until the account matures. That is why we use maximize clicks early on. It tells the system, go get me as much traffic as possible for my daily budget.
But you mentioned a max CPC cap, the cost per click cap. Why is that specific part necessary?
Without a cap, Google might decide to pay $30, $40, or even $50 for a single click if the auction gets highly competitive on a Tuesday morning.
Which would wipe out a small budget instantly.
Absolutely. The max CPC cap is your safety net. You are explicitly telling the system, get me as many clicks as possible, but do not ever pay more than $8 for a single click.
I see.
It allows the new account to gather that vital baseline data without letting your costs spiral completely out of control.
But setting an $8 cap implies you actually know what a click is worth to your business. And this points to a major issue. To properly cap your bids, you have to step away from the Google Ads interface entirely.
You really do.
You have to look at your actual SEO and business metrics.
This is the exact moment where so many campaigns fall apart. Business owners let the platform dictate the budget based on SEO search volume, rather than letting their own business economics dictate the budget.
Yeah.
Every local business must use a simple formula to find their budget floor. Take your target number of leads per month and multiply it by your target cost per lead.
Okay, so if I know my crew needs 10 solid leads a month to stay busy, and based on my profit margins, I can afford to pay $60 to acquire each of those leads.
Right.
10 leads times $60 means my absolute minimum budget floor needs to be $600 a month.
That is your baseline. Google's automated budget suggestions do not know your payroll costs.
Yeah.
They don't know your risk tolerance, your gross margins, or how well your sales team actually closes the leads that come in.
They just see the platform.
They only know what the search volume is in the auction. Building your budget from real-world business math is non-negotiable.
You know, there is this pervasive assumption out there that because the Google Ads interface is so much easier to set up today because you can launch a smart campaign in 10 minutes with their automated guides, that it must be easier to run well.
It is easier to start spending money.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not easier to generate a return on that money.
And this highlights where human-AI collaboration is so vital. We aren't saying automation is evil, right?
Correct.
AIO, or AI optimization, provides an incredibly powerful mechanism. The algorithm can process millions of auction signals in a millisecond.
Unquestionably.
But human judgment has to set the boundaries. The AI doesn't understand context.
Let me give you a perfect example of why human judgment is required here. Imagine you have two different landing pages. Page A converts visitors into leads at a 5% rate, and you're paying $3 a click.
Okay.
Page B converts at only 1%, but you're paying $6 a click.
Which is terrible.
Right. But the automated platform might continually push traffic to page B simply because the ads pointing there have a slightly higher click-through rate, which makes Google more money per impression.
Oh, wow.
But the human operator looking at the business math clearly sees that page A is vastly more profitable for the business.
And the human operator can also evaluate that page based on experience, quality, uniqueness, authority, trust, and expertise.
Yes, absolutely.
The algorithm can't inherently read a page for true trust and authority the way a customer does. It just reads auction signals and bounce rates.
A perfect point. The idea of a set-it-and-forget-it campaign is a complete myth. The landscape is never static. Competitors enter your local market, search behavior shifts, costs inevitably rise.
Oh, please.
If you are using SEO search everywhere, optimization to capture attention across multiple platforms, handing your budget over to Google's black box means you lose visibility into which specific search engines or platforms actually drove the lead.
You're flying blind again.
Exactly. Someone, whether that is our team at Omni Search Labs, an in-house marketing manager, or you as the business owner, has to be at the helm. You have to continually question the AI's suggestions, dismiss the recommendations that don't serve your specific goals, and ensure that every dollar of ad spend actually aligns with the real-world economics of your Rhode Island business. If you aren't doing that, the interface will gladly optimize your account to serve its own goals.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating and honestly somewhat unsettling question.
What's that?
As platforms like Google push harder into mandatory automation, hiding search data, and removing manual toggles, will local microbusinesses eventually be priced out of manual control altogether?
That's a scary thought.
I mean, if the algorithms demand 50 conversions a month to function properly, the mom and pop shops might soon face an ecosystem built exclusively for massive corporate budgets. It's something every small business needs to prepare for.
Here's the wrapper. Achieving real success with Google Ads as a local Rhode Island business isn't about getting a perfect 100% optimization score. It's about relying on actual, hard-earned account data and your own human judgment to protect your budget, rather than blindly following automated recommendations that are ultimately designed to maximize your ad spend.
If you're a business owner challenged with this right now, the key is to log into your Recommendations tab today, review your settings, and manually turn off display expansion and broad match keywords to ensure your local southeastern Massachusetts search budget remains focused entirely on high-intent customers.
Head over to omnisearchlabs.com/blog to read the full post.
We'll be back in a couple of weeks with our next episode. From Omni Search Labs in Rhode Island, thanks for listening.
Now go optimize something and be discovered.